Tonight on Grady News Source, we have updates about the man behind a recent string of car break-ins targeting UGA students.
Next, proposed military budget changes could change the size of the U.S. military to levels not seen in almost 70 years.
And later, get the updates on the local high school wrestling and basketball playoffs to see how your team did.
From the University of Georgia, a student production from the Grady College of Journalism. This is Grady News Source.
The Supreme Court is deciding who has the right to carry guns in public and what's the reason behind these high gas prices. We have the latest. I am Naome Seifu.
And I am Briana Belser with Grady News Source.
The Supreme Court turned down an appeal from the National Rifle Association today that would make it legal for people under the age of 21 to buy and carry a handgun. Michelle Tenorio, a local saleswoman at Gateway Jewelry and Pawn, agrees. She says, you have to be 21 to buy a handgun. That's good. In my personal opinion, 21-year-olds that come in and want to buy guns, I don't think are mature enough to buy them. The Supreme Court did not make any comment on their decision. People under the age of 21 are allowed to buy shotguns and rifles.
Time to count your pennies. Gas prices are on the rise. The average cost of gas has risen $3.41. That's an increase of 12 cents. Around Athens, gas prices are below average, sitting at around $3.25. According to the Associated Press, the increase is partially due to changes in crude oil from the violence in petroleum-producing nations, such as Venezuela and South Sudan.
Local laws protecting cyclists and walkers will be in question now after a local teenager was hit by a car and killed. Savannah Levins reports how his death could cause a change.
Check this out, Justin Sexton yells before he carefully steps out onto this pedestrian crosswalk. Although cars are legally required to stop for him, it takes 5 minutes before a car slows enough to let him cross.
I've seen people have to literally get in the middle of the crosswalk and jump up and down and wave their arms, and people will slow down at the very, very last second.
Sexton works at Daily Groceries on Prince Avenue. This crosswalk right outside is one of the few that may be the site for a new experiment, an experiment on pedestrian safety. It would convert Prince Avenue into 2 travel lanes with temporary pedestrian islands.
David Clark, the director for the Athens Transportation and Public Works Department, says that this experiment would take about 2 weeks and would collect traffic data, though nothing has been approved yet. As far as Sexton, he says even with bike lanes like these, he's too afraid to bike to work on Prince Avenue and instead takes a dangerous 1.9-mile walk.
According to the Georgia Department of Transportation, in 2011, there were 13 bicyclist deaths in Georgia. In 2012, there were 19. Last year, that death toll was up to 27. In 2012, there were 681 total reported bike collisions, 509 of which reported injuries. Until this experiment is approved, these stop for pedestrian signs on Prince Avenue may continue to be ignored.
Athens Clark County Police have arrested a suspect in the series of car break-ins that took place over the weekend. 21-year-old Raymond McDaniel was found by police in a motel room on Atlanta Highway with some of the stolen items. McDaniel has been charged with 4 counts of entering auto, 1 count each of theft by receiving stolen property, theft by deception, and possession of drug objects. He also is charged with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. McDaniel had been previously arrested multiple times for burglary and theft charges. McDaniel and police are now in the process of locating the victims to return the stolen items.
Georgia's highest court has passed a ruling concerning the rights of inmates. The Georgia Supreme Court ruled today to provide inmates the right to access prison libraries and legal assistance. A lower trial court stopped the filing of a petition after an inmate complained about his lack of access to legal materials. The High Court says the trial court must file the petition that gives inmates the right to legal resources.
The Georgia House of Representatives has passed House Bill 943, the Cancer Treatment Fairness Act, sponsored by Representative Lee Hawkins. His bill will prevent cancer patients from paying higher costs straight out of their pocket for oral medications. The goal is to give cancer patients affordable access to the most recently developed and most effective therapies. This will allow patients and their families who face these challenges to stop worrying about breaking the bank. Lee says House Bill 943 will provide an economical alternative. Insurance companies that cover chemotherapy will also cover the oral therapies. The bill sets a max limit of $200 out-of-pocket cost. Coming up, learn about the proposed military budget changes.
Next, we have your Olympics wrap-up info and the Olympics tax bill that could help athletes returning home.
And later, learn about the Netflix-Comcast deal that will affect online streaming.
Hey, you going out like that?
Yeah, why?
Well, what would the neighbors think?
I see you! Come look at Mr. Feather. Look what I have. Mr. Bird, remember? Bark, bark, bark. We're just playing. We're just preying on trying to get you out of here.
Even still.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him opening his own clothing store at the age of 18? 1 in 138,000. Excited to be a part of pop culture, he packed for the big city. The odds of finding someone to invest in his vision? 1 in 4.5 million. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
The U.S. Department of Defense made a big announcement today regarding big cuts for the military. Allison Morrow has more from the newsroom.
Yeah, guys, there is no doubt that this is a big deal. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel is planning to make changes that would not only affect the size of our military, but its function as well. Now, to give you an idea about the change, let's take a look at a statement Hagel said today. He said, for the first time in 13 years, we will be presenting a budget to the Congress of the United States that is not a war-footing budget. Now let's break down his plan a little more. It'll affect both active and reserved military. And check out these numbers. Hagel plans to reduce our troops by 10,000, which would be the lowest total in more than 70 years. But Hagel does plan to increase the Special Operations Forces by more than 3,000 around the world. He also plans to eliminate the A-10 aircraft, which costs nearly $3 billion every 5 years. The budget will be formally proposed to Congress next week, and there is expected to be some outlash. But Hagel does say if Congress doesn't pass the plan, then our national security could be in jeopardy. Reporting live in the newsroom, I'm Allison Morrow.
Controversy has sparked over an Arizona bill passed last week. The bill allows business owners to deny service to gays and lesbians. An Arizona social conservative group is pushing the bill, saying it clarifies an existing state law. State lawmakers and politicians are urging Republican Governor Jan Brewer to veto the bill. Brewer has 5 working days to make a decision.
A South Carolina husband and wife are being charged with the kidnapping of cosmetology student Heather Elvis. Sydney and Tammy Morrow were linked to the kidnapping after Elvis's father found Sydney's phone number on his daughter's phone records. According to investigators, Sydney and Elvis may have been involved in a romantic relationship. Elvis has not been seen since she vanished on December 18th after a date. Her whereabouts are still unknown.
Strikes made to be blamed for the resignation of Egypt's prime minister and his cabinet as governmental uncertainty arises there. Prime Minister Hazem Bablawi turned his resignation into the Egyptian president today. Doctors, transport workers, police officers, and postal workers' strikes have injured the workforce over the past weeks. The Egyptian president is expected to appoint another prime minister and cabinet in the coming days. Presidential elections are scheduled for April.
Stocks were up today across all three major markets as investors remain optimistic about the economy and corporate earnings. The Dow Jones closed up over 100 points. The Nasdaq was up almost 30, and S&P 500 touched a new record high, closing up over 11. Stocks have been recovering this month after a rough January.
Coming up, see how your local high school did at the weekend's basketball and wrestling playoffs.
Later, possible legislation could put a different kind of milk on grocery store shelves.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
If I got to go to college, oh my goodness. I like discovering new things. You get to see what works for you and what doesn't. That helps you evolve as a person. You get to make like a supernova of skill or talent or whatever it is. I've always wanted to go to college. I just feel like that's my destiny. My name is Queen, and I am your dividend.
I'm joined by sports anchor Lesley Holler. Lesley, what's going on in Georgia sports?
Well, there's a lot of celebrating going on. Months of preparation paid off for 3 Northeast Georgia wrestling programs during the state championships on Saturday. Beaufort, Commerce, and Jefferson High Schools each claimed team victories in their classes. Beaufort took the title for Class 3A with 6 first-place finishes, Jefferson for Class 2A with 6 first-place finishes as well, and Commerce had a home mat advantage one for Single A with 4 first-place finishes. The basketball season continues for at least a few more days for 12 North Georgia teams after the first round of high school playoffs this past weekend. Beaufort, Dawson, Jefferson, and Raven County schools, among others, will battle out in the second round of playoffs on Monday and Tuesday. For a full schedule of the games, visit accessnorthga.com. Another team celebrating is the UGA women's swim team, who took their 5th consecutive SEC Swimming and Diving Championship over the weekend, becoming the only team to have multiple 5-time winning streaks. The last time that happened was from 1997 to 2001. Meanwhile, the men's team finished 3rd in their competition. The Georgia swimming and diving team broke 8 school records, 13 pool records, and 8 SEC records. In Olympic news, one U.S. senator has proposed legislation that would exempt Olympic medal winners from income tax when they come home. The U.S. Olympic Commission awards cash to Olympians who won a medal, $25,000 for gold, $15,000 for silver, and $10,000 for bronze. South Dakota Senator John Thune is in charge of the bill, which has received both bipartisan support in Congress as well as support from the White House. The Olympics wrapped up in Sochi on Saturday, with the host nation Russia claiming the most medals of any country with 33. The United States was the closest behind them with 28. Notable U.S. gold medalists were Ted Ligety in the men's giant slalom, as well as Stage Kostenberg and Jamie Anderson in the men and women's snowboarding slopestyle. Also, during the closing ceremonies, the fifth ring was indeed working.
Coming up, learn about the changes in St. Simon's that could keep you safe this spring break.
Time to wake up. I've got a job to do today.
I've got a job to do today.
Don't forget, you've got a job to do today.
Hey, Mom. I got the job. Thanks. Got the job. Welcome aboard.
Have a good first day at work, Mom.
Your donations to Goodwill fund job training programs right in your community.
Feels good to start fresh, right?
Sure does. And like that, you're a job creator.
I know, 2 seconds. Hang on, just stand still. Stand still, love. 1 second. I know. Just hang on. Okay, go, go, go. No. Boys, hang on, boys.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to Energy Star light bulbs, and you'll realize just how much cash you were really burning through. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov.
In other news, daredevil tightrope walker Nick Walenda has his sights set on a new goal. He is following his grandfather's footsteps and walking the nearly 1,000-foot deep Tallulah Gorge in the northeast Georgia mountains. He hopes to reach his goal in the next 3 years.
With spring break just around the corner, St. Simon's Island Beach is in the process of adding lifeguards to keep tourists safe. There are plans to add 9 new lifeguards to the 8 it already has. A personal watercraft, 2 ATVs, and other equipment are also being added. The safety measures will cost $116,000. Safety measures were put into effect last summer after a 16-year-old drowned.
The oldest known Holocaust survivor has died at the age of 110. Alice Hertz-Sommer was a talented musician that performed concerts while in concentration camps. An Oscar-nominated documentary about her life was released this year.
Uganda's president has tightened his grip on the gay community in his country. He signed into law a bill that toughens penalties against gay people and defines some homosexual acts as crimes punishable by life in prison.
Coming up, learn how a new type of milk could be popping up in your local grocery store.
Being a dad can be tough.
No. What do you mean she's not coming?
When's the fairy princess coming?
Any minute now.
But when you're willing to do anything,
It is I, Cruz Zinkelbell. Okay, time for cake.
it's always worth it.
I know it's really you, Drew. I'm just pretending for the other kids.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
What if you could invest in the future? The future of kids, like a stock. Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow.
My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
If you drive
drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
You sure you don't want some? It's chamomile. Listen, you are extremely terrifying. Just the scariest undead subhuman thing on TV, and I really mean that. But I am worried that you could give my kids nightmares if they see you, so I'm gonna have to block you. So that's it. Oh, and tell the zombies they're blocked too.
Raw milk straight from the farm may be available in local grocery stores if the Georgia General Assembly approves legislation for it. Reporter Mae Griffin explains how some farmers would like to see their milk in stores.
Local farmer Mandy Latimer of Latimer Luck Acres Goat Farm has a license to sell raw milk, but has to put a label not for human consumption.
I sell raw milk to people, but it's labeled not for human consumption. And so that's, I can't sell it to people for them to consume it specifically, but they take it home, and that's, what they do with it is their business. So.
Raw milk. Would you drink it? The House of Representatives is looking over a new bill that could legalize the sale of raw milk in grocery stores. Latimer is glad. She feels people should have a choice to buy raw milk for their own consumption if they choose to. She says that people who sell raw milk for consumption, that it shouldn't come from large farms, but smaller farms, so that the milk can be processed quickly and cleanly.
Be fabulous for us, because then that would open up a whole nother area for us to be able to sell our milk, and then we wouldn't have to label it not for human consumption. And I feel strongly that people should have a choice to be able to purchase the milk.
Carrie Jo Rinke, a clinical lactation consultant, believes that some natural properties in raw milk that are beneficial are removed during pasteurization.
The natural properties of the milk, the living properties of the milk, are killed in the process of pasteurization. And, so the milk is altered. It's like any food. You irradiate it or you pasteurize it. You kill the living properties that may have benefit to your body.
Georgia would join South Carolina in the raw milk industry if the bill is passed.
Netflix users will soon be able to stream videos faster. Netflix has struck a deal with Comcast, allowing the online streaming service to connect the Comcast broadband network.
Comcast has said in a statement that the more direct pipeline is already delivering a better user experience to consumers. The deal with Netflix and Comcast was said to be made back in January, but was officially confirmed Sunday. So Briana, will you be watching Netflix more often?
Girl, yes. I cannot wait to watch Vampire Diaries with no interruptions.
Well, that's all we have for you tonight. I'm Naome Seifu.
And I'm Briana Belser. Thanks for watching.
Girl.